Hello everyone. Again, this is my week 39 recap, and I think I kind of got a message uh, throughout the week that I'm just going to discuss real quickly before I get started on what I got during this week. That I think many of the weeks I've been stating that I hadn't got into contact with Solomon or but I got different information. I would always say it anyway. And um, I got I was reading a book and I got this message and I always feel like, especially lately and over this past year, that I've kind of accelerated the way that I'm getting information, and I've become more accepting of the information that I've been given. And I think I've been having a big problem with defining the information that I'm getting as it's coming from a certain entity versus just certain realizations or thoughts. And I always knew that I was getting information, um, but I didn't always know where I was getting it from. And again, I guess I've always known to just go ahead and include that anyway. But I guess I want to just kind of soften the definition of whether or not I'm been contacting Solomon or not. I don't. I guess I'm gonna try to stop saying that, because when I say that, then it's like certain other weeks where I'm getting something very positive, something that's very helpful for me. I'm kind of defining it like I'm not getting contact. It's almost like I'm invalidating the other types of information that I'm getting. I'm getting it in different ways, and I just want to be more inclusive to include all of that. Um, so. Um, from now on, I guess if I'm going to call this entity Solomon, then I'll just say that I'm getting it, and I'm not really going to define it whether I actually had more of a verbal conversation with him or just had like thoughts or anything that were kind of downloaded to me or something. Either way, it really doesn't much matter as long as you're getting the idea and getting the information in. And the most important thing, I think, is kind of like what it meant to you. How it how useful that information is to you. That's probably where you can really kind of draw the line and decide whether or not this conversation, this information that you're getting is helpful. It's just how useful it is in your life. Okay, so I I did have a conversation, uh, you know, uh, on the 24th of August, and it was pretty interesting, and I feel like I've gotten more of the concept down, even though it seemed like it was a very short conversation. Again, this is where I get where I feel like I'm getting more information in, and I'm just kind of like the more I'm allowing different not expecting it in a certain way, I seem to get it better. Um, so I talked to him about how the relationship between body and mind is a separation that I've defined as I have defined it. My body is a representation of my own consciousness and a reflection, and therefore is me. And I think that's very interesting for me, because a lot of times when you define yourself, and let's say that, and again, a lot of my focus has been on health. Um, it's just an interesting field for me. Um, Especially in the case of like ill health, if you're saying things like let's say your knee hurts, we say my knee hurts, but you're kind of like separating it. You're not really owning in, that the knee is actually yours. You're kind of like separating, like the body is experiencing this pain, and I am, experiencing that, but it's just apart from me, and I don't know how best to describe that. But there's this separation of body and mind as you're doing that, instead of owning that. That the body is a representation, it is a reflection of what's going on in your consciousness, and actually the body is just the reflection of of all of the things that are going on in your consciousness is guess is what I'm getting at. So if you're having ill health or something, it is basically just some type of separation. You've made some type of separation from the real you, and from the real consciousness. And I already know that I'm going to go into a lot of these different things that I've learned throughout this year in a separate um, series where I'm going to talk about the mindset of the healthy, and so that way it can be helpful for those that are in a state of ill health to kind of break down some of the major themes that people in ill health go through, and how to change that back to a positive, in a positive direction. Because after all, you can be in pain and be suffering, or you can be in pain and be hopeful, I guess. And there's a big difference in how you're responding, and I really believe, especially after this year, and there's a lot of things that have validated and confirmed that for me, that your expectation, if you have a positive expectation of a situation, you're going to get something positive out of it. The actual events in your life really mean very little. They actually mean nothing. They're very they don't really come in with any type of meaning. We put a meaning to it. So if you have a positive expectation towards that, you can get something positive out of it. Now the tricky thing is, when it comes to health versus many other things, I would think it's even more difficult than like financial problems, which can be very difficult. But I feel like if you're not going, at least with financial problem, you are going through a certain amount of pain, but it's not physical pain, and it's different if you have it like physical pain, and then you're trying to have something positive to think of, to get something out of that. And so I think I'm going to go over that. I've really kind of felt like as I've gone through, especially the last several weeks, I felt like that's going to be like the next step for me after this series that I'll be doing. But anyway, that's really the big thing for me this week that I got was that big separation of the body and the mind, instead of just accepting that the body is a reflection of me, of my consciousness, and just to kind of own that, I guess. All right, that's really about it. So I will talk with everyone next week. All right, thank you very much for watching, and take care.